Hey there, fight fans, and welcome to Fight Potato, the community channel dedicated to mixed martial arts. My name is Danny, and let's get started. Our first story is Kevin Gastelum versus Michael Bisping out in UFC Shanghai. First of all, congratulations to the UFC booking their first event in mainland China. It turned out great. But as for the fight, it was a fairly decent fight, I thought. I thought Bisping and Gastelum, they had both had their moments in the fight. Up until, Gastelum caught Bisping with that huge two-punch combo. Now, Gastelum is a super talented, really strong up-and-comer in the UFC. No, he's got a couple of questions surrounding him, though. Obviously, there's a lot of questions whether or not he is big enough for the middleweight division. He fought Chris Weidman and absolutely got dominated before being choked out. And, Gastelum has said himself that at middleweight he can be a contender, but at welterweight he can be champion. And you saw it in the fight himself. He's got a lot of meat on him. He's a little chunky. So there is a lot of room for improvement in terms of his diet and his nutrition and his conditioning so that he can make the welterweight division. It comes down to if he can push himself to the limit to do that. As for Bisping, I really don't want to talk about his career just because he is not retiring. He wants to go out with one more fight in England, which is a great idea. He, of all people, deserves to have a great walkout fight to end their career, and I really wish the best for him. As for the fight itself, I thought he was doing really well for the first little bit. But once he took those punches and got knocked out, you really saw the effects of what it's like to fight on 3 weeks' notice, especially after his brutal fight against GSP. That was an absolute war that he was in just 3 weeks ago against the best welterweight of all time in Georges St. Pierre. He lost the first round, obviously came back to win the second round. He was doing a lot of damage in the third as well, but he got cracked with that left hand, then got choked unconscious. And for him to go out on the other side of the world to fight in China against a dangerous guy like Gastelum, it just was not a very good idea. You were able to predict that something like this was going to happen. And I'm really curious to know, where was his team and his family to tell him, no, you need to rest, you need to chill? And he's even saying, again, he wants to fight in England, which some people are speculating, 3 months from now. It's a little short notice, which I definitely see those arguments as well. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about him taking this fight on 3 weeks' notice and getting absolutely hammered. Really wish he was able to, step back, swallow some pride, and not taking this fight and taking a little bit more time off. The commissions, they set medical suspensions for a reason, and it's to protect the fighters from situations like this. It's really unfortunate that the UFC, acting as its own regulator while in China, allowed this to happen. Next, we're going to talk about the Bellator opening round matchups for their heavyweight Grand Prix. Now, let me be the first to say that Bellator is on the mark for giving us exactly what we want without even knowing or saying it, because this tournament is going to be so much fun and such an absolute disaster. You just know that it's going to be, because a TBD opponent is favored to win the tournament over 3 people already in the tournament, because obviously injuries is going to happen and there's going to be a replacement. But while we're here, we can talk about the opponents and the fights for the opening round. We've got Chael Sonnen versus Rampage Jackson. We've got Frank Mir versus Fedor Emelianenko. You've got Ryan Bader versus King Mo, and you've got Big Country Nelson going against Matt Mitrione. Am I the only one here that can admit that I wanted a complete freak show in the opening round. Like, there's 4 heavyweights, there's 4 light heavyweights, and in the opening round you've got the heavyweights fighting each other and the lightweights fighting each other. I wanted just a mix-up, just the light heavyweights fight the heavyweights in the first round, and just absolute circus fun, and then have it go on like that. That would have been, to me, so much better than the way it is now. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch it through the rounds. You can obviously leave it to Conor McGregor to not do anything this week, but still make headlines. Because Manny Paqcuiao Instagrammed a photo of him with the caption, "Happy Thanksgiving, stay fit my friend, hashtag real boxing match, hashtag 2018 at the Notorious MMA." Now, we've already seen the spectacle, the money fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We know what he can do against a boxer. And obviously, he's not able to win against those elite class boxers. But that's okay. He is an MMA fighter. We're not asking him to beat boxers. What we're asking him to do is to defend the lightweight title, because he has yet to do that. Whether it's Ferguson, whether it's Khabib, we want him to finally fight, because he is obviously a huge draw to MMA, a huge draw to the UFC, and all eyes are on him at that time. And we really want to see the biggest and best fights. And with him laying on the sidelines and not defending his title, it sort of takes away from the competitiveness, and the fans don't get to see the best that's out there. Now let's talk a little bit about Ben Askren. Now, Ben Askren just had his retirement fight out at ONE FC. He pounded out Shinya Aoki in the first round. Now, what I want to say is it's a real shame that he never got the chance to fight in the UFC. He's regarded as one of the top welterweights in the world. But the problem is he was never able to compete against the other best welterweights in the world, because he never got a chance to fight in the UFC. You know, him and Dana White never really saw eye to eye. And because of that, he never really got the shot to fight in the UFC. He's been harping that he's the best welterweight in the world since 2012, but we never really got a chance to see him defend those words, because he never fought George St. Pierre, the likes of Hendricks, Lawler, Rory McDonald, and more. Had he fought in the UFC, he'd really be able to see where he is in the welterweight division, in the world, and as a world-class athlete and fighter. It's a real shame, because the fans really deserve to see him fight in the UFC. He's a great competitor, and maybe sometime in the future he'll reconsider, and the door will be open in the UFC for him. Lastly, let's talk about UFC 218 going down in Detroit, Michigan. Now, I am actually going to this event live, which I'm super, super stoked for. You've got, in the main event, Holloway versus Aldo 2. Holloway is just an absolute animal lately. He's taken out the entire division even before he became champion. And the way he dismantled Aldo was just out of this world, especially considering Aldo was in his hometown, Rio de Janeiro, being the best featherweight of all time, and he absolutely got destroyed. Now, with this rematch, I'm really excited. I'd love to see how Aldo comes back and get revenge and try and get his title fight. I'm a little on the fence, though, because he did take it on short notice. I know he was preparing to fight Ricardo Lamas, but, Holloway is just at a different level. He is just out of this world tough, great competitor. And I'm super excited for this fight. I really want to see how they do the second time around. I hope it's going to be a lot more competitive than the first one. In the co-main event, you've got Alistair Overeem versus Francis Ngannou. Both of them are fantastic fighters. Overeem being one of the best strikers in the heavyweight division of all time, and Ngannou just being an absolute savage of a heavyweight fighter, young, up-and-comer, hungry, destroyed everybody in his path. So this one's going to be a great, great fight. You've got a well-knowledge, experienced fighter going against a young, hungry lion trying to reach the heavyweight title. The last fight, I'm excited for all of them, but the last one I'm going to mention is Eddie Alvarez versus Justin Gaethje. This is going to be absolute fireworks. I don't even want to blink for this thing. Both of them are just high action, high pace fighter, no regard for defense, just chuck at the wind, hope for the best kind of fight. This is what it's going to be, and I am pumped for it. Justin Gaethje even said in an interview this week that he wants to be the most violent lightweight of all time, and just stuff like that gets me so riled up, so excited to see him fight live. This one's going to be a great one. UFC 218 live from Detroit. The whole fight card is stacked. Let me know what you guys think of the fight card, who you think's going to win. I want to hear it. And this is the end of the video, so I want to hear your opinion. Tell me what you thought about the Bisping and Gastelum fight. Tell me what you think about the Bellator opening round of the Grand Prix. Tell me what you think about Paqcuiao calling out Conor, Ben Askren, everything. And if there's something I didn't talk about, let me know. I want to hear it. And if you like this video, click that like button and please subscribe. Thank you.